He's in Hawaii. He's still in Hawaii. He's not living in the best conditions compared to what he had, I'll tell you that. Oh my God. He's got a dike for a landlord, and he lives in this, let's call it a structure, which is on the same property as a nice house in a very nice area, which is close to the ocean. Not close to any sandy beach or nothing like that, but he pays like $600 a month, I guess, somewhere around there. And it's a fucking shack. I mean, literally, it's like really a shack. I'm not kidding. And the owner's a dyke, and she's got some bad cancer shit going on. So she hasn't been around for a while, and she travels a lot. She's got a lot of money. I'm not sure where she got her money from, inheritance or something, but the neighbors have been pretty friendly with him, and they look in after him and the dog and all that stuff. And kind of told my brother, man, you need assisted care. But he doesn't want to go into assisted care. And if I still had my dog, Maggie, at the time, and something happened to me, I'd want to hang around my dog. I wouldn't want to go in assisted care living. But I think if anybody needs that shit, he needs assisted care living. He really does. And he's got a landlord, fighting over this crap with the hot water heater for the shower. I said, take cold showers. I don't even think he's showering that much. I said, man, do you want to get a staph infection or something? You just let yourself go like that, mind and body. That's what happens. He's hanging in there, but he's on oxygen. He's got diabetes, he's got high blood pressure. He gets gout. He gets, skin conditions. His memory is not very good. When he was younger in Seattle, he was working as a casual laborer for a friend of his friend's company in Everett, Washington. He was under a kind of a building structure of some sort, the framework of it anyway. Might have been steel. And he didn't know, and he wasn't told, that they already unloosened all the bolts and all this shit on that thing. That was ready to come down. So he was working under there to do cleanup or whatever the hell it was. And the goddamn thing fell in on him. He almost died. He has a gash on his forehead down to the bone at the time. So his temporal lobe, I think that was affected. Frontal lobe. That didn't help him. Collected a little bit of money on there. If he would have held out, he would have got more. You know where the money went? Hey, I don't mind talking about this because I was on his ass for this for years. Went up his nose. Went on women, taking him to Vegas. The only good thing he did was he bought this trailer home in a trailer park, and that was the best thing he ever did. Best thing he ever did, but the problem was he had people come over there all the time. It looked pretty obvious, and I'm not going to say why. You put two and two together on that. Got to the point he had to move, and he got these Mexicans that were interested in the place. He didn't get money for the damn place. He got drugs. Fucking A, man. Hey, look, I know he's my brother, and I love my brother, but I don't approve of how he handled his life. I'm more than willing to talk about that because I'm the total opposite of him in every respect. He fucked up his life major, man. He really fucked up his life. Yeah. Oh, yeah, brain tumor. He fucked up his own life, just like this other guy that's in jail now. They're similar in some ways, except my brother has some major health problems. Is he going to last through, say, 2024? He had some strokes, he had this and that. I don't know. We go through this every year. I'm not going to make it to my birthday this year or Christmas, Frank. I said, you've been saying that every year, Al. Every year. He made it to this time because he's got emphysema, that's what he has. But a lot of emphysema patients, they last a long time, but when you gets to the point where the oxygen is not getting your oxygen level to, like, my God, at least 85%, which is not good. Preferably, you want to be 95% and above on the O2 level, saturated oxygen level. His average, he could hit with the oxygen around 90 if he's lucky. But if he don't go on oxygen, the sucker sinks down to about 80. He shouldn't be behind the wheel of a car. And he told me a couple of times he was almost nodding out. I said, you shouldn't be on the goddamn road. But, he's one of these people. You can't tell him what to do. Like Fazio, they're stubborn in their own ways. You like that old saying, you can, lead a horse to water, but you can't make a horse drink that water, man. It just doesn't work that way. So you're talking to a wall sometimes, What do you know about Big Al? He seems like a good man. My sister recovered from her addiction, but it was too late. Yeah. That's why I'm straight today, man. Watching him growing up, I remember we were really young. The fucker was on heroin at one point. He'd come home, here comes the Oreo cookies. Different scenario with the Oreo cookies this time. He'd be dunking his cookies in the milk. He'd be talking like you can't even understand what he's saying. Dunking his Oreo or Chips Ahoy in a glass of milk. Then he's just black out and nod out. He'd forget that I even had a glass of milk and a cookie in there. And he'd wake up, start talking again. And my mother went through hell. You know, the mother that Barry called the fucking whore that spreads her legs. My mother went through hell with him. No, my brother is a good-hearted person. He really is. My brother means well. But I think his accident he had back in Everett, Washington, back how many decades ago that was, it affected his frontal lobe in that it'll affect your moods, depression, agitation. There's a lot of shit that the frontal lobe, temporal lobe, I think it was the frontal lobe that can do to you. And I think that was part of his problem and still is. He had a friend, a woman that hung around, not a girlfriend, good Lord, Rose. And Rose was a pain in the ass, trying to preach her Bible and everything too. My brother couldn't stand that. But she'd come over to check on him, and she wound up having to go back to Pennsylvania. She had a, situation going on with herself. She had a stroke, but anyway, she'd be sitting with down here on his little deck, and he was just getting really nasty with her. I don't mean sexually nasty. I'm argumental and saying profane things to her, which, you know, he never really did before. Maybe he felt that sometimes. He felt like saying it to her sometimes, but just like with me, you guys have no idea that famous house in Hawaii, what I went through. If it wasn't the tenants, it was my brother. You have no idea what I went through with my brother. You guys have no clue. None. I housed him there by the fact that he was my brother. Got him out of Seattle because he got out of a lot of trouble in Seattle. I was rescuing my brother all half of his life. I did a lot of good for my brother. He was alive today partially because of me. He'll admit it. He'll actually admit it, and my sister will admit it too. All the good things I've done for him, despite our opposition. We were just polar opposites, totally polar opposites. Right, they can't hold back their thoughts, the perception area. And my brother, man, he'd go, you know, crazy ape nuts. If you got his temper up, God, we went at it 2 times in a physical fight. It didn't last long, but the second time he did, I was kicking his ass out. He was still on his feet. I said, man, you know what, man? Last time I didn't call the cops on you, but this time I am. And I did. And he ran off in the woods, went all the way down to like 5 miles down the road to Curtistown, to no shoes on, to escape I called the police on him. He was threatening my fucking life. I told you, man, I don't care who the hell it is. Blood or no blood, don't fucking threaten to kill me or some shit like that. He went ape-ass fucking crazy. He was starting to lift something to go hit me with it. And I had a shovel in my fucking hand. Now, what did I have in my hand? I pushed him over, and he broke his thumb, and I had a gash in my leg. Still have the scar from it today. Oh yeah, from the damage to his head. And he, you know, and one day, I'll tell you what, there was this black dude, and then he was coming by there, and I don't know, maybe he was visiting the tenants or something, but he knew the guy real well. And he knew the guy was into drugs and all that shit. The guy came over one day, and he got into it with this guy. And my brother got mad and called him the N-word. And the guy cold-cocked him right then and there. He didn't call the police on him, no, but he got cold-cocked. He knew he was wrong. He knew he was wrong on that. That was a really racist statement there. But he wasn't thinking. My brother was a hard person. You talk about negativity. I told you, I use this expression. You could feel sometimes his negativity through the walls, and how many times I used to just isolate myself from him. When he was in a bad mood, I shut my curtains, shut my door. I wouldn't let my dog go over there. Give him time to calm down. Just give him time to calm down. Then he'd come over next morning. Would have to be the next morning. Would never be the same day. To apologize to me. I've had maybe some crazy moments with my oldest siblings as well. You don't know, guys, you don't know what I've been through. You have no idea. That's my, you're learning something about me, and I mention this for a reason. Not to get personal about my family, that's not what it's all about. Because I'd rather keep my family out of shit. But I mention this because you could understand my lack of tolerance with people. I'm not very tolerant with people, man. I'm just not anymore. By experience, by choice, and, you know, to some experience in my life, you know, I'm not tolerant with bullshit anymore. I ain't got time for it. I'm getting too old for this shit, you know? That's why someone is, you know, that's why the lady is a tramp. That's why he's in jail. I wasn't going to give it into this shit, but especially we talked about my mom. Really decent shit, man. She gave birth to me. She raised me. And a good mother she was. And he goes around and to that point and get that low. You'd think child molester was bad enough. I thought that was as low as he can go, but he surprised me with this one. Well, it didn't really surprise me. To say that your mother was a whore and she's spreading her legs for everybody. I bet you wanted to fuck her and she won't let you or something like that. I know what you guys would have done. I know exactly what you guys would have done if you've seen him. I'm too old to take the route of anything physical, and I could have done that a long time ago, guys. Trust me when I tell you. I'm not kidding you. Point. But I stopped myself. I realized that I had a life together. I had a great woman, you know. I achieved what I was trying to achieve living out here. And I didn't want to spoil it. Even at TJIF, I didn't want to spoil it. I had just come back from Hawaii because of the COVID. Remember, I went to Hawaii to go see my brother, do maintenance on the house, straighten out a situation with the tenants, which was really necessary to do. It's kind of a triple hitter. See how that turned out. You don't know what I went through with the tenants. You really don't know what I went through with the tenants and what they've done to him. You don't know the whole story, folks. I talk about it now and then. You have no idea what they did. It's things I don't talk about. If I was such a horrible person, why would they invite their daughter down from Oahu, their other daughter? If I was a mean landlord, why would you do that? You thought your children were in danger. Danger of what? Of what? Nobody went along. I don't even want to talk about that situation. It just puts me in a bad mood because I went through hell. And I had anxiety attacks being around them. Believe me, I did. I told you I have general anxiety. Believe me, I suffered many times that year. Between the negativity of my brother on one side and the negativity and the bullshit of my tenants. You don't know. You just think you know what happened because of hearsay. You don't know the whole story. You don't know what I went through with my brother all these years, always rescuing his ass. I've always been there for my brother, whether we got along or not, man. That's what you do for your brother. And I feel bad for him. Not being able to breathe, that's horrible. I know how that feels if I had a real lung condition going on, like a real bad virus, or how it feels when you get anxiety when your breathing feels labored. I know what it feels like, but not to his degree. If I have an incident, I know what it feels like. I'm sure everybody somewhere along had some kind of breathing problem because they had a bad virus or something, chest congestion. It's scary, and anxiety could do that to you. It's not funny. But what I went through between my brother and the tenants, you don't have a clue. You just don't have a clue. You really don't. Yes, I did good for him, and I still do. I still do. I call him every 2 days. He's very negative, of course. I don't think I'm going to make it that long, you know. Talks about something negative or something that happened, you know. And I'm like, okay. I try to give him good advice, man. What could I do? I can't force somebody to be even my daughter. I can't force her to be in my life. I try. What can I do? I've taken losses you don't understand in my life. That's what makes me a fucking hard-nosed when I need to be. I never even got to know my grandchildren as they were growing up. That's harsh. You know, a lot of wives do that to their husbands when they're going to go through a divorce or separation. You ain't going to see the kids. You know, that kind of shit, right? It's kind of like that with my daughter. Stubborn. More stubborn than I'll ever be in my life, ever. We have different views on things, that's all. I still love my daughter, but I can't force her to be in my life. I can't. Sometimes you gotta let go. Sometimes you have to let go that you're forced to let go. Maybe you lost a girlfriend once in your life that you really loved. Well, maybe she decided not to be with you anymore. And you don't have any choice but to let go. Let go. Yeah, I did good for him, JP. Mick Fisher says I used to own a mobile home park. I've got a pretty good idea. Well, I know, Mick, you've been hearing all these stories about me and the tenants and all that. You don't know the whole story. And it was not a sexual thing going on. They keep on talking about this stupid mushroom song. I never spelled out the 4-letter words to this kid. If anything, it was bad taste to talk about Fazio on there. That's all. That's all it was. Nobody was harming this kid. Me and my brother liked this kid. He was a good kid. He was kind of a shut-in. And if he ever found anybody who was willing to talk to him and give him attention, he took to them. Because he didn't get it in the household. A lot of times the parents would leave these kids alone. Nobody was the right age to be alone in that house. They smoked pot around the kids. Even the mother in a wheelchair smoked pot and cigarettes and drank, as well as the other inhabitants of the house, the parents. It was a horrible situation. But I didn't want that, you know, that rented it to them. My brother, I can't find a good family to rent to. Well, he didn't make a good choice. He didn't make several good choices, you know. Yeah. Am I massaging myself?